Whoa. Hey, what's up, troopers? We are here, Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Evan. That's Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Hey, hi, Mike.
You did it. Good, good, good. Okay, so here's the funny thing, y'all. This is going to be released first. We are recording this not even 24 hours after we had recorded a pod with Isaiah Wallace, the world champ, and his wife Caitlin about Evergreen, and we talked about Chopper Base Open, and we did some meta talk, and Mike said some mean things about me, but like we'll get there. That will come out. I'll figure out the right way to stagger these, but today this thing happened, and so we're making this podcast right now. We did this at the drop of a hat. That luckily we were both available to get together and record.
Turn the bus around.
That's right. We had to turn the bus around because there was a series of events today, Mike. It all started with a leak. Like some mysterious, not so mysterious, some pictures showed up on Reddit of like some of these cards. It had the unit cards and it had like 2 upgrades, but it wasn't the Doctrines, which are like the super important part.
Whoever did that, you're a jerk.
Yeah, you're a jerk. Unless Mike, I mean, let's just say this here. What do you think are the chances that was a little bit of viral marketing?
I don't.
It doesn't seem like AMG style.
It's not AMG style. I think the chances are below 2%.
What do you think are the chances that the release time window was accelerated because of the leaked pictures?
I think that is above 2%.
Okay, cool. We're doing some math already. I love it.
Yeah.
But yes, it turns out that luckily we didn't have to organize a just like a smear campaign against whoever posted the pictures without all the upgrades. I promise we wouldn't have actually done that if Casey was listening to that. Yeah, Mike might have, but it wouldn't have been an official aspect of the Fifth Troopers outreach. But yeah, we don't have to worry about any of that because they actually did the seen to stats articles, which we can fairly assume means that we have now seen all the cards that are going to come out in that thing. I haven't done like the direct comparison with what the box says. Like I know that they said 2 command cards. I don't remember exactly how many upgrades. It's always possible that those boxes are going to include some copies of generic upgrades that we already are released elsewhere. But who knows? These things are usually complete when they do them lately. It's different from FFG where they would sort of annoyingly give us like half a spoiler on the article, and then we had to figure out the rest when the damn thing actually came out.
You'd be planning for like a month and a half, and then realize you only had half the story.
Yes. It'd be like, yeah, Clone Commandos came out, and it was like, by the way, check this out, Katarn armor. Whoa!
Like, the fact that they're 80 points or whatever is way more reasonable now.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so now we know what's going on with these customizables, Mike, and what do you say we just get right into it?
Yeah, let's get into spoiler territory. Love it.
Yeah. So we are first going to talk about the actual cards very briefly, and because we have this hot new technology known as me figuring out how to use DaVinci, we will be showing these on your YouTube screen if you're watching on YouTube, so that you don't need to cross-reference, but we'll start with the Empire side because that was what was released first. It's only fair. So the officer and the agent, the officer, we'll start with him, is the commander. He's 55. He has equipped Doctrine, so he has to take Doctrine, Inspire 1, and then a base weapons that are a melee 3 black and a range 1 to 2, 2 white, 1 black. Blaster pistol, no keywords, neither of those. He does surge to hit and he surges to block with white saves natively, and then has a baseline health of 6, courage of 2, and then upgrade slots aside from the Doctrine. And this is, it's interesting that the officer, like the only difference between the officer and the agent is that the officer has 1 more training slot, but otherwise they're the same. But the officer has command, training, weapon, gear. So lots of slots to put stuff in. And then the agent is pretty similar. He has 1 less health. Otherwise, actually, interestingly enough, he's 1 less health, and then he has Relentless instead of Inspire 1. Uh, and the baseline weapons are the same. I think that they're actually the same for all 4 of these units.
Yes.
Which at least kind of keeps that part simple. It's like one less thing to have to be swimming around your brain when you're making decisions about this. And then, as I said, the agent, the only difference for gear slots or for upgrade slots is that 1 less training, which means doctrine, command, training, weapon, gear. And he has 5 less points as well. So that's the baseline, but there's not even any point in talking about the baseline guys until we put it in the context of the doctrines. So, Mike, why don't you tell us what the Imperial doctrines are? Which, again, you can only have one. They're unique for themselves, which means that in theory, like, you could have double custom agent, double custom officer, but each one would have to have their own doctrine.
Correct.
So just keep that in mind as we're reading these out.
Yep. So the first one is Academy Trained. It is 10 points. We've got Imperial Officer only. You increase this unit's courage by 1. The unit gains Exemplar, Inspire, and Strategize 1. This is very much kind of old school officer.
Yeah.
The officer you had 2 months ago or whatever. This is kind of rebuilding that a little bit. Rather than having Spotter 1, you've got Strategize 1, which is better for the most part.
Yep.
It is actually like a little bit worse in that you can't combo it with Binox, which
True.
is like a little awkward. But the courage buff kind of, I
Courage
think,
3.
makes up for that a bit.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big, a tall thing to gain access to here, I think.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure that there's much to talk about this doctrine outside of that. I don't know. What do you think?
It's basically it's a cousin of the prior Imperial officer
Yeah.
that is a little bit more focused, like, just because of the courage value is a little bit more focused at doing officer things than they used to be. But before, you would look at the generic Imperial officer, and then you would look at Veers and be like, or Krennic, and you'd be like, what's really the point of paying fewer points to not get some cool command cards and then to have fewer tokens to share? So I think that even back in the day, the generic Imperial officer was mostly just showing up in Remnant and Tempest because, like, that was the only choice that they had.
Yeah.
And now it does feel more specialized. So even though, like, and we'll talk about this later, but even the lists that do have access to Krennic and Veers are going to be significantly more likely to want to consider this as just like their backline helper person. But I think that the standard academy trained build is probably going to be it's probably going to be 70 points of just like the officer, the doctrine, and then the pistol, just to have like sort of something to do if the fighting does happen. That seems pretty reasonable. There's also another upgrade that we were going to be talking about globally as being something that could sort of go on everybody when we get to it.
Yep.
But right now, we're going to focus on the individual builds per doctrine. But I think that that's maybe the most standard, but standard doesn't mean bad. Like, it's very good. It's just a little bit cookie cutter.
Yeah, for 65 to 70 points, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think particularly if you're not really looking to invest in a commander option, I think the builds in Empire that were originally like the only commander I'm taking is like Krennic.
Uh-huh.
I think you're probably going to take the officer instead because the Courage 3 in that build specifically is just so valuable.
Yeah.
But I think in the builds where it was like Vader Krennic, it's probably going to be like Vader Imperial Officer now, I suspect.
It could be. One interesting thing is that none of these have access to compel.
That is true.
Which that you can make that less meaningful if you put the money into running DTF 16. But that is an investment on a unit that's not great at fighting in order to have compel. So I feel like if it is triple do, they may still be thinking about running Krennic instead.
That's fair. I am a little surprised that there's no compel option
I know. Well,
in these. Yeah,
I think that it might have been a lore argument to try to separate these from the named officers, because like I imagine you think about that high command pack, like we already know Krennic has compel. I wouldn't be surprised if between all those other officers they either had ruthless or compel on all of
yeah.
them.
I can see Tarkin having with
Yeah.
yeah,
So maybe they wanted to just like keep that around as a way to separate these out from the named officers.
for sure.
Yeah.
Shall we hit tip of the spear?
Yeah, let's talk about tip of the spear.
All right. So tip of the spear is doctrine number 2. It is 8 points. It is agent or officer only. When this unit is issued an order, an allied unit within range 1 may remove up to 1 suppression token. So it's kind of like disciplined, but for units around you,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. This unit gains aid, Imperial Trooper unit, direct Core Trooper unit, and tactical 1.
That's
So
so
this
many
is
keywords.
it is. I think that kind of like easy way to think about this card is that this is like the mini if you build your own callus kind of card. It gives you direct core trooper unit, you get tactical. The aid Imperial trooper unit allows you to like hand out the aims from tactical to, you know, nearby people. Notably, it's not just core units, so you could like hand your aim off to death troopers or something like that, right? Um, or even other agents and officers, because it's just Imperial, right?
Yep.
Um, so kind of cool. The suppression effects interesting. I don't know how it's unclear to me how often you're giving these like mini 80-point characters orders, but it seems like a decent little bonus to like remove suppression when you do.
I mean,
But
funny
this
enough, it combos well with compel,
it does.
because it allows you to like sort of get free compel, so to speak, when you have to use it, and it could also combo well with the spur command in Blizzard Force, because um, like those are a couple effects that obviously they get your troopers moving, but it does like put them closer to the panic zone, which is a problem when it comes to POI contesting time. So yeah, it's not going to come up all the time, but it's certainly a nice thing. There are situations where, like, if your opponent, played Master of Evil, and then you can do this the next turn, like that's mitigating Master of Evil quite a bit.
I mean,
But it's a little situational.
it's one unit gets one suppression token removed.
Oh, okay. I
It's not
misunderstood
every
that. I
unit.
thought I
Yeah,
thought it was everybody.
yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
All right. Well
It's
then,
it's
yeah.
an
So
allied unit may
that's
remove
definitely much
one
more in a
suppression
nice to
token.
have
Yeah.
territory. Like the
It's,
other the other keywords are the things that mainly matter. Like, hey, this has direct trooper unit. Now, like Empire does not have the problems that Rebels do in terms of having too many operative choices that are rock solid. And so I can very easily think about a list, and also you can put this in the commander as well. So it's not even just limited to the op slot, but there's going to be a fair number of lists that have this and Callus, and
yeah, I
then
think
if
you
you
just
also have Hask, then
fixes
you're
the Imperial Order control
right. I mean,
issue,
you're
I think, a lot.
like this and Callus and Hask means you have total order control on on 3 of your core every single turn.
It also, one of the things that we have been talking about with prepared positions and dug in is like getting orders on the core units is actually there's a cost. Like you have to find a way to do that. This is a way to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then also while you're doing it, like even if your tip of the spear is not actually charging in that much, but that they're sort of like moving up behind cover with your army, you know, even just doing that, and this may be an extra reason to give them order control, is that you can do that first. You can double move into LOS blocking terrain, and then aid both of those tokens to the core that are about to be following that guy.
Yep.
It's definitely got a lot of potential. There's a universal issue that is not a tiny one that we're going to talk about, like once we get through talking about all of these, that may make charging in a little bit more risky. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential here. And did you mention strike team leader, right?
I didn't,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Okay.
this seems like, I think, to be clear, I think strike team leader is like a pretty good addition to any of the
Yeah,
agent
pretty much
profiles
all of
here.
these,
Yeah.
but especially one that would be moving up with special forces potentially. Probably especially thinking about death troopers
For sure.
as a starting point. But okay, let's talk about defend in depth.
Yeah, yeah. So this is 10 points. It's Imperial agent or officer only. And during the end phase, choose one allied trooper unit within range 1 of this unit. The chosen unit does not remove name tokens. So, I know that many players out there, including myself, there's that, like, you say it every time you take the aim token. You're like, well, I took an aim, so obviously I'm not going to have to spend it because I'm going to full boat this turn, right? When you full boat and don't need to spend the aim token, you get to keep it.
Yep.
And so that's kind of cool. The other thing that this does is this unit gains aid emplacement trooper unit, prepared positions, and spotter 1. So this gives the commander or agent prepared positions, so they kind of get to set up with your defensive prepared position Imperial line if that's what you're doing. And they have like aid emplacement trooper unit and spotter. I think this one is really interesting. I think if there is a viable prepared positions list, this guy's almost certainly in it.
Yeah.
I think we have yet to sort of see that work. This seems like a potential pretty critical piece in allowing it to work.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool, unique. Unclear to me if it is like good enough to get there.
Yeah, because like you can think about the way, like how is this how does this improve upon the Krennic / Veers situation that you can already do with like to be alongside a prepared positions unit in order to aim them up? Because with Veers, for instance, if he is just sitting back there, he can spotter the unit and himself, and then he can take an aim and share it. Whereas, and the sharing is a little bit more flexible than aid, which has to give it directly to a trooper. Now that is mitigated by the fact that you have, like, you can keep an aim hanging around if they don't use it, which is nice. But given given the fact that you can already be in a situation where you can give 3 extra aims to an emplacement trooper, it does make me wonder a little bit about whether this has the same level of advantage compared to the other two we've talked about already, to the options that you already have.
I definitely wish that this was aid like unit with prepared positions, because the units that actually need the aim tokens are the short troopers. Not
Yes.
not the emplacement
Not
troopers,
the mortars or even
the
the
EWEBs.
EWEBs. Like
Yeah.
EWEBs, I think aims are nice, but it's the range troopers or it's the short troopers that need to be long shotting and then they want to be re-rolling.
Yeah.
Uh, so
So I mean,
yeah,
like with this, yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing that I wish that this may be a little different. I think it's cool. I think it's a unique effect. I think it is very niche. And because of that, might see less play than the rest of these. I think the rest of these are all very generically useful. This one feels very like you got to kind of be doing a specific thing to want this doctrine.
I I agree. I think I also see a world in which when we get some new battle cards and if they are more gunline heavy, then like one can consider a Blizzard list where you actually have Veers and a Defend in Depth dude,
Yeah.
with 4 E-Webs, and that you're just shooting. Like that could absolutely be a thing.
It definitely could be. I could see like a very high activation Blizzard list, with, some officers and agents and stuff, and
Yeah.
and a bunch of E-Webs for sure.
could be a thing. All right, and the last one is platoon commander. This is agent. This is agent only. So just to review, the academy trained, aka the generic officer pseudo replacement, that's officer only. The other two we talked about can be either one, and then this one is agent only. So only the dude with the silly looking helmet and the stun baton thing in terms of what the art is.
Yeah, so this is 8 points. During setup, you choose one allied core trooper unit. That chosen unit gains retinue Imperial agent. So it's basically like you pick a core unit that gets to be like strike team leadered. So rather than a special forces, you're picking a core here. When this unit is engaged, it gains surge to crit and surge to block. I'm curious why they didn't just print hold the line here. um,
Well, because hold the line just gives you surge to hit, and these already have surge to hit, so
sure.
it wouldn't have given you the bonus there. And then
yeah. And the surge to block only matters if you've also bought the combat armor upgrade that we haven't talked
we'll talk
about
about
yet.
that in a second.
So that bit of text is kind of irrelevant, I think, for the most part. And then the unit gains sharpshooter 1. So basically, you give a core unit retinue, and you get sharpshooter 1 is what platoon commander is. It's okay.
I think it's okay. I think tip of the spear just seems like a superior Russian in. It seems like a better agent that is not just sitting in the back situation than platoon commander does. Like platoon commander is obviously the one that actually it's not even that obviously the one that makes the guy more effective in close combat because tip of the spear gives you tactical 1.
I think platoon commander is the one that you take when you've already taken tip of the spear.
I think I think that could be pretty accurate actually. And like obviously this one does go well with STL also, like most of these go well with STL, strike team leader I should say. And then like the retinue for one allied core, like that's cool, but the tip of the spear can give aims to whatever Imperial trooper they want that are around them, which is more flexible.
Between these two cards, like you can get a bunch of aim tokens to short troopers,
for sure.
Which is,
and tip can be either slot, so I could definitely see many lists that are running like a tip commander and a platoon agent.
Officer. Yep. Yeah. Sure.
I could totally see that. Yeah. All right, so we'll talk about some upgrades. One of these is shared between Rebel and Empire, so we'll just talk about both of them now. And that's combat armor. It's pretty simple. It changes white saves to red saves, and then you lose your natural surge to block. This is why we were talking about the platoon commander a second ago, is that if you ran combat armor and platoon commander, which does come in at 23 points on its own, which seems like it's a bit, then you would gain surge to block in melee only. So you would be in a, like you would have the same saves as a riot control at that point,
or a callus,
or a callus, exactly. So that's the thing. Combat armor, I just don't know. I just don't know, Mike, if increasing a 2 out of 6 to a 3 out of 6 in and of itself is worth 15.
I think that this upgrade might be priced like 5 points too high. At first glance, that's
how it feels.
That's my initial indication. I could be wrong about that. I'm thinking like, when a lightsaber gets a hold of Padme or Rex, like the result is generally the same.
They're gonna die anyway.
So I think I would recommend when first trying out the officer and the agent, maybe leaving the combat armor at home and feeling it out. If the white save is not feeling good enough, maybe try combat armor out. I think the combat armor is like, it takes a very cheap, efficient unit that does a lot of things and makes it not cheap and efficient anymore. It's like it's close to a 15 to 20% increase in price just for this.
Yeah.
Just for that upgrading the save, and I'm not sure that that's worth what you're paying there. Definitely cool if you're just like doing a thematic thing where like I want my guy to have heavy armor, you know.
Right.
It is worth noting that the combat armor, while the cards are technically the same name, the cards are different. And you know, we've been talking a lot with both the Wills on the cast about like keeping upgrades separate in different bins for like different armies and stuff. The way they've set this up is that they actually could change the points on the Imperial one and not the Rebel one, and
Oh
vice
yeah, you're right
versa.
about that.
So I
I'll,
did want to call that out since this is the only shared upgrade, but that shared is not completely accurate, I guess is what I'm trying to
but
say.
it is weird though, because like they're both literally called combat armor,
I
but
think
that the
they
text on the
probably,
cards are
yeah.
different.
Yes, I think the maybe the name should have been like, I don't know, Imperial combat armor and Rebel combat armor or something to that effect. But
The Rebel
whatever.
one would be rusty combat armor.
Sure. Yeah. Not as good combat armor.
Yeah. But
So
actually right now literally is good.
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, like the way I think about it, the way to think about it, I think, is just that you're changing 9 effective wounds to 12 effective wounds by paying 15 points. And so just to remind folks, that means that on average it would take 3 extra hit results coming through cover to be able to take care of you. And that'll often amount to like a shot, right? Like, you know, if you're sort of like shooting around in a standard way, the way to think about it is that it would take like 1 extra attack on ish on average to kill it. And yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not positive if that's worth 15, but we'll see. Um, we also have Seeker Droid.
Hmm.
So both of these two are like there's no analog on the Rebel side, and so that's an interesting thing that we'll talk about. But Seeker Droid is Aiden or Officer. All of these gear slots are for either one, and you get Shielded 1, Recharge 1, and Observe 1. As a reminder, Recharge uh, is where you get the shield back if you take a recover action. As of right now, the Decas are still the only ones that have battery, where it comes back like for free at the end of every turn. So it sort of gives you an extra health.
It's
Not
it's
if you're
it's a what like 2/3 of a health is technically
yeah
what it is. If you've
yeah,
got white save, and it's half a health if you've got red
and
save.
also if an ion's shooting at you, then bye bye.
It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, so free observe 1 is certainly like not terrible. Am I like am I misremembering that upgrade mission objective? That's 8 points, isn't it?
It's 6 points.
6 points. Okay.
I know that because I put it on my ARF troopers for no.
Got it. Hey, good for you using that upgrade. It's you and John Bushman are the ones so far that I've heard about using that upgrade at all. But yeah, like free action observe 1 is good, and then obviously getting a little bit of extra health is good. I'm sort of in the same zone as I was with combat armor. Is that I'm just asking the question: is like, is that giving me 8 points worth of value? It certainly isn't terrible. It's just it's maybe a little bit questionable for me.
Yeah, I think this is again like if you want to do like a thematic thing where you're like pretending like your guy's Iden Versio, great.
Yeah,
Take the Secret Droid upgrade. I don't think that this is adding 8 points of like stuff. I mean, look, I think the thing with these characters is that they have built these lean and mean, frankly, from kind of the ground up. And these kind of like I would call these luxury upgrades. These two are
the
luxury
first two are
upgrades.
luxury upgrades. We're about to get to a different one.
And they're just there are a lot of points for things that it feels like these characters are sort of getting for free on the Doctrines.
Yeah.
Like the Doctrines are like, here's 8 points, and it's like 50 points worth of value, and then you look at the Secret Droid and you're like, okay.
Which is probably the intent, is that these feel more like cherries on top or sprinkles,
Yeah.
and the doctrines are the real ice cream. But here's a sprinkle that might be worth an entire scoop. Command controlled. Ooh, this says command and control uplink. Okay, yeah,
That is
there we go.
correct.
It's
Yes.
just a little bit wordy, but command and control uplink. This also for either agent or officer. 8 points. How about this one, Mike? During the command phase, after revealing command cards before determining priority, you may discard this card. If you do, you may treat your revealed command card as 1 pip lower until the end of the round. So it is effectively a once per game cunning, except
It's better than cunning.
that's better than cunning because it's not just about winning ties.
There is no ties.
Right.
Well, unless you're lower in like a 2 pip to a 1 pip.
Well, yeah.
like-
So like you could that's the thing though, right? Is that a cunning? If you play a 2 against a 1, then cunning doesn't do crap for you. If you play a 2 against a 1, then you can discard this, and then you're in a 50-50 roll off to see who goes first.
Yeah, I mean, I think the situation that you are trying to engineer with this card is you are playing a 1 pip, and you just like you want to go first, and this card says, unless your opponent also has a command and control uplink, or played sorry about the mess, you are going first 100% of the time. That means if you have Vader's Might or Implacable, and you have a command and control uplink, unless your opponent has Han, you're and your agent's not dead, you're going first. And you have 100% certainty, barring like change of plans or sorry about the mess, or I don't know. I guess like you could interrupt it with like Dooku's 2 pip flipping Vader's thing back to the pool or whatever, right? Like there's some things that mess with it, but I think this card is mandatory. I think this card, like if you are taking an agent or an officer, you are paying 8 points to put this in your list because this effect is bonkers.
I am afraid that you're exactly correct. It is exceptionally strong to be able to, whenever you want, do this and reduce the pip value of your command card. And it's basically for the reasons that you talked about, which is to say that command cards in combination with the people that they come with are usually pipped appropriately to the level of advantage that you would have if you were going first. And like part of the reason why, like a big part of the reason why Dooku is so special is because when you combine like especially now, is that when you combine Fear, Surprise, Intimidation with Direct Trooper, is that it puts you in situations where you can like go first with almost whatever you want to do
with certainty. Like it's not
exactly.
go first. It's not maybe I go first.
Like you definitely go first.
I go first, right?
Which can very often win games for you. And so this is obviously not the exact same thing. Like when you compare this with Cunning and Interrogate, is that there's like some like a little bit of weird overlap in terms of pip situations. But if you have Callus next to your opponent who would maybe increase their 1 pip to a 2, and then you're playing this on a 2 pip, then all of a sudden like you could actually like literally switch the values and go first with your 2 against their 1, which a cunning character again would never be able to do. And there's even situations where like you could be playing Master of Evil and this, and then like you're tying their 2 or you're beating their 3.
And the nice thing about this is that you get to see what command card they play before
right.
you choose to discard.
You get to
right?
wait.
Like, yeah, like so you're like, okay, like let's say you're like in a situation where like you're both gonna play. You think you're both gonna play 1 pips, right? Your opponent knows you have this option, so maybe they don't play a 1 pip because they know they're gonna lose anyways.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so you might not even have to use it. Just the threat of this on the table is gonna change what command card your opponent like. You know, if it's like a Luke versus Vader off, I'm using that because it's like very like just easy, you know, and it would normally be like Implacable versus Son of Skywalker. Like you can't play Son of Skywalker anymore. Probably. right? Like you probably have to like get Luke a dodge token or something so that he doesn't immediately die. Um, I
Man, it's just, or you might have to play it because you're just like worried that you're going to be relying on the dice anyway for him not to die, regardless of what you do.
I mean, the right thing
And
is that you're actually playing I Am a Jedi, but
fair,
but
yeah,
like
yeah. So
uh,
maybe Luke not the
maybe
best
yeah.
example.
As I think about this example more, that was maybe not the best, but you know,
But you think about Implacable against like Anakin One Pip, and like you were gonna rely on the 50-50 chance to be able to be double attacking before he double attacks. Then all of a sudden, Grandpa is smacking the youngin.
like
Uh,
Grandpa goes first, right?
exactly.
And so yeah, I don't. This is insanely good card. I think this card alone probably wants you to bring in. I think the agent and the officer are probably good enough without this card that you're probably just like tacking on 8 points. But if you weren't gonna bring the agent or the officer to begin with, I think this card is good enough for you to put one in your list.
Yeah, it's I thought that Callus was going to be the unit that would just like show up everywhere, and it's shown up
Turns
a
out,
lot of places.
turns out you could take 4.
Yeah, right. Uh, yeah, this is going to show up in everywhere, including and certainly unlike Callus, who isn't available in any battle forces. Guess what? This is available in all three of the Imperial
That
battle forces.
that's command and control uplink is actually not
Oh yeah, good
allowed
point.
in
Like, yeah, let's
Blizzard
talk about
Force.
that. So
So
it's
yeah,
not available in Blizzard.
yes, it is specifically called out in Tempest and Remnant because this is a
Got it.
unique upgrade.
Right.
It is
That's
called out
fair.
specifically in those battle forces that you can take this upgrade. Um,
Okay,
so
so yeah, Blizzard. Sorry, you're not you're not going to take what is maybe the best upgrade out of any of these. Obviously, like they're still going to be able to do plenty, and Blizzard is quite likely to take two of
I,
these customs.
I want to be really clear. It's not
Yeah,
maybe the best upgrade out of any of these. It this is the I can
this is why
say
we
with
have you here, Mike. To just
100%
make the
certainty
declarative statements.
that this is the best upgrade here. It's not close.
Yeah, I mean, like the doctrines like give you stuff that helps you the whole game, but given that this can help you at the key moment of a game.
This is the upgrade that wins you the game.
Yeah, that's
Right?
fair.
Like this is everything else here is just value. This one, when you discard this upgrade, sometimes you will just win the game.
Is this why they took Palp away? So that you couldn't do like 0 pip and now you will die?
That would have been pretty good.
That would have been pretty sick, right?
Yeah. It also would have been really obnoxious to like play Given Tier Anger like one turn and then have to deal with this the next. Like so
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
That's why you got sent to Fortnite. It's a shame.
Should we
Okay.
talk about these weapons?
Yeah, sorry. We got caught up.
We got
Yeah,
a lot to talk about.
yeah, exactly. Let's move on. So, yeah, tell us about the weapons, Michael.
Yeah, so we've got 3 weapon options for the Imperials. We have they're all actually like pretty cheap. So we are going to start with the heavy. All of these are agent or officer only, so I'm not going to like say it every time for all of them. The first one is the heavy blaster pistol. It's 5 points. It gives you sharpshooter 1 and target. It is range 1 to 2, 2 red dice, lethal 1, long shot. This is the only one of the 3 of these options that is a ranged option. So this is as good as it gets if you want to be shooty.
And which is pretty good, at least on the agent.
Yeah, it's
Because
okay.
he's got relentless. It's pretty good.
It's like 2 red with lethal sometimes,
Especially a tip of the spear agent.
Yeah.
Because this has lethal and long shot. So obviously, if you're going to be using it very aim hungry to be making use of those keywords, it's a thing.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like that is a 63 point unit with Pierce, most of these builds come in sub 75, so it's fine, second weapon up here is I'm gonna go with the riot baton second here. It is 5 points. It is gives you immune melee pierce. It has suppressive and melee, and it is just melee. It is 2 red and 2 black.
It's fine.
It's fine. I think you're probably going to pay the 3 points to upgrade to the stun
For the next
baton.
one. Yep.
Which, rather than giving you immune melee pierce, gives you demoralize 1, which is, I think, much better generally.
Yes.
And then it also, rather than getting suppressive in melee, you get immobilize 1. And instead of 2 red, 2 black, it is 1 red and 5 black. And just the upgrade on the ceiling of this dice pool, particularly in a situation where you're probably going to have tactical.
You have Surge to hit also.
You got Surge to hit, like, you're probably going to have at least 1 aim token.
Yeah.
I would rather have the stun baton. You're going to do more damage with it most of the time. Which is why I think it's a little bit more expensive, which is fine. I don't know.
This is the same as the crab weapon situation where you're like paying barely any more points for what seems like a kind of significantly better weapon.
Yeah, I think it's a little unclear on how much better this is. I think with things like the Darksaber price reductions we've seen lately, I think I'm okay with this being like only 3 points more. It is almost double in the cost of the other one, right?
That's when you think of it that way, for sure. That's also only 3 points.
I totally. I just like, when you compare that to like the cost of the Secret Droid, you're like, yeah, okay.
It does seem like the relative value of like add-on melee weapons has been like really brought down when you think about. Funny enough, the Gideon now has the most expensive Darksaber, right?
I think so, yeah.
on the worst character to have it.
It's all
figure.
Good.
But yeah, like the stun baton is what, like, this is what sort of makes the chargy agent. I'm assuming with tip of the spear. Again, or if you had to, then you could have a tip agent / officer, and then a commander or platoon commander agent, and then you could have 2 chargy boys. Like, I don't know, it's a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely decent,
but it's a pretty good weapon. And then also don't forget that if you are feeling up to it, you can just go and tag the butt of an AA5 with this, and then it is unable to move for an entire round after that, which is a thing that you can do. It could be pretty useful against a bus sometimes.
It could be. The immobilize is definitely way more useful than the suppressive.
I think for sure. Like not being able to withdraw is a thing. That is pretty good. Okay, so let's finish things off by talking about the command cards. Only 2 of them. I'm going to start with the 1 pip. The 1 pip is not terrible, but it's much less interesting. So that's Fearsome Oration. Thinking about, like, I love the art on this because I'm just like imagining this dude is like in the front. I can't tell whether he's behind cover or not. He's just like kind of kneeling down, and he's actively getting shot at for sure. And he's taking the time to like do a General Huck speech. And he's also making sure that everybody on the other side can hear him, which is why he has the demoralized. Brave dude. So good for him. He's really into the Imperial ways of government. But yeah, it gives you, like, it's only the Imperial agent. It's a 1 pip, and it gains demoralize 2 and inspire 2 until the end of the round. So pretty simple. There are going to be builds that play it because it's better. It may be better than ambush.
I think, I suspect it's not better than ambush, specifically because ambush with the command and control uplink is actually quite excellent.
So then I should correct myself, is that it will be something that you can put into Imperial builds instead of, like, what is it? What's the probe droid one? What's the generic Imperial one that never gets played? This is probably better than that, right?
I'm gonna go with no again, because this one is much more restrictive, and that this only gives orders.
This only orders the agent. You're right.
That one is operatives or special forces, I think.
Yeah.
I think the only time you're taking this card is if your focus piece is your agent, Which I'm
if
gonna
you're
be
paying
honest,
the combat armor, the baton, the chargy boy, like if he's going to be your guy, then you can run this.
and that seems unlikely to me.
Fairly, I think so.
So I think that this is leave it at home unless
Probably.
literally you have like only agents.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know.
It really is. That really is good art, though. I gotta
It's
say,
great art. It's great art.
like that's the kind of thing that the real Imperial fanboys out there might want to get a poster of. Uh, all right, so inexorable advance. I love that this continues the Imperial command card tradition of like putting adjective before gerund, and just like the droids do this too. It's like pushing forward and no one can stop you. And like what's the thesaurus way to like get that point across? But anyway, this is a 3-pip, 3 trooper units. When a trooper unit is issued an order, when a core trooper unit, I should say, is issued an order with this card, its ranged weapons gain suppressed until the end of the round. Additionally, when an enemy unit panics this round, after the effect is resolved, an allied core trooper unit may make a speed 1 move, and there is no, and this one is officer only, I should say. There's no restriction on the distance between the panicked unit and the core unit that moves. You just get to pick one and it moves. Mike, we were also wondering about the wording here because panic is not like an event in the way that it used to be. It's sort of a constant state of are you panicked or not. I think that the assumption is that this would trigger if the unit becomes panicked by gaining a suppression and that they were not panicked before they gained that suppression, is that this would trigger. That's probably going to need to be like rules formed or whatever, but I think we can assume that that's the situation.
That seems like the intent.
Yeah. And like, so unlike the 1-pip, this is going to see a lot more play.
So I've actually, my initial reaction to seeing this card was, holy crap, that seems really good. As I've digested it for the three hours we've had it, I am willing to roll that back, I think, a little bit.
Okay.
I think, if your opponent has Vader, if your opponent has Yoda, if your opponent has any of these new Courage 3 commanders, this effect gets a lot harder to trigger. This is really good in a world where people are running around with field commanders or Courage 2 commanders. And I think between these customizables and some of the more powerful units of the game, I'm less high on this than I was when I originally saw it.
The era of force suppression panic may be coming to an end relatively.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can kill your opponent's commander and like then this is
of
a
course.
thing. But this feels like a very like turn 1, turn 2, get in there sort of card.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like maybe fine in a later turn, but later turns you want to be playing higher pip cards generally that are doing damage as opposed to like putting your units in places.
I think it's quite good in generic only armies. I think this, like, you can probably make the, and so like just like with the other one, you can compare this to either assaults or this
is better than
combined arms.
Coordinated fire.
Coordinated fire. That's right. Right. Like this does feel better than coordinated fire because you're getting effects right off the bat. There are certain core troopers. I'm especially looking at you, snow troopers, where like there are situations where you can do the same thing with Debark for ground assault and Blizzard, where you can be rolling up and you can do regular snow shots over here. You can throw a frag grenade over there or an impact grenade over there, and then you can shoot the ion or the flamethrower over there, and you're handing out 6 suppression tokens because like this card does give suppressive to all their weapons, the same that Debark does. That's not going to be useful every game, but it is like a tactic that you can have in your pocket. And like you said, especially for a generic only army, there probably are going to be situations where it's worth playing this over standing orders for a combination of the fact that you get more order control, and if you have like core with range 4 guns, then you can be getting some nice early suppression in on the front end.
Yep.
Which could, again, you're not going to necessarily be counting on the panic thing happening all the time, but you're like, unless you're against droids, you're gonna be slowing them down probably pretty significantly by pounding it on with this.
Yep.
And
I
then
think
yeah, you can combine it with E-webs, combine it with death troopers. Like you can, it adds to the overall suppression flavor for Empire. And you know, if you were able to like smack them with bring them to heel with an Imperial list, then this will just like make those all that much easier to get to.
yeah, what this is not is it is not combined arms. It looks like combined arms in that like you can do the like I'm gonna spend observation tokens for movement thing. It is not nearly as surefire
Yeah, so it's a lot harder
as
to trigger than combined arms is.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's the Cody 3 pips what we're talking about. There's
Yep.
too many. Again, there's too many like adjective plus noun things out there. Okay, so I think that I was gonna talk about some general stuff with these, but honestly, the general things I wanted to hit on are also true for the rebels to a large extent. So
Yeah.
I think that let's just move on to talking about the rebels. We'll get through that, and then we'll talk about our general thoughts at the very end. So yeah, Mike, why don't you tell us about the unit cards for the rebel officer and rebel agent, which are mostly the same, but not
Yeah.
quite the same.
I'm not gonna go through all the
Yeah.
stats because they are
Weapons are the
basically
same.
identical. The officer is identical. The agent is a little bit different in that the agent loses relentless and gains independent, dodge one, and nimble. Feels good, rebel players.
Yeah, this is handing nimble out like it's candy. I will say that there is one other difference, Meg, which is that uh, rebels have a grenade slot instead of the second gear slot.
Oh, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even. That didn't check with me. Yeah.
So which, as of right now, basically means that you can give your chargy rebel, or specifically, you could give your chargy rebel with Arsenal 2, which we'll talk about in a second, like an impact grenade. But it feels fairly niche in terms of using grenades on these guys to me.
Okay. Yeah. Seems bad.
It's sort of like grenades. It's sort of like grenades on the Wookiees, right? It's sort of like,
maybe
why?
you take some smoke grenades. I don't know. Some
Yeah, I
smoke
could see that.
tokens or something.
Or,
I don't know.
you know, to me, the most likely thing is that we're just going to get another grenade that is all of a sudden going to be one that everybody wants to take with the next batch of generic upgrades.
Very possible. I also think it's possible they changed the current grenades because they all kind of suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, overall, like again, you said the officer is the same, and then as far as the agent goes, I think that at first glance we were like, oh man, Relentless feels a lot better than Independent Dodge and Nimble, and that's generally true. But it turns out that the rebels have a way to get Relentless anyway.
Well,
so
it's not even that. It's that the Imperial options, the Relentless on the agent really is just charge. I'm like,
yeah,
like they don't really have a great option for it. Like the range 2 blaster pistol, like 2 pierce 1 is like, it's like fine, but it's not like frightening.
and it is, if they have tactical, then they can use it on long shot and lethal, and then it's range 3 at that point with Relentless, which is not terrible, but it's also not gonna.
Yeah,
it's not gonna turn any heads.
And when we get to the rebel melee weapon, you'll see why they don't have it printed
Natural
on the unit card.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But yeah, let's talk about the rebel doctrines. These are a little bit different because Empire has 2 doctrines that are shared, and Rebel only has 1 that is shared. So that is a difference. We'll talk about the 2 officer only ones first. So first one is frontline commander. That's officer only while within range 1. Allied trooper units gain Dauntless, and the unit gets aid rebel trooper unit, and then the unit that gets this doctrine also gets Indomitable and Spur and Tactical 1. So that is, count them, 5 keywords sorry, 4 keywords that just go on this, and then also it's handing out a keyword to every allied trooper. Not even uh, allied trooper would mean that you could give it to like pikes, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's such a niche thing right now, and may have to verify it, but um, yeah, like it's a lot of keywords for this. And it's 8 points I should mention. Uh, and then
This is the only. This is. I am a little bit like. I don't know why this doesn't just say like this guy gets compel, because that is the. I mean, I guess compel is range 2, right?
compel is range 2. Yeah,
Okay,
so
so
this is like a little bit less
this is
valuable.
compel, but it's range 1, which is what they've put on the text box here.
Yeah, and maybe Lucasfilm was like, the rebels don't compel, they inspire. But it is functionally a range 1 compel.
Yes, it is functionally
Um,
range 1 compel.
which is pretty good,
It's
actually.
the pretty much the only compel access rebels have access to.
Yeah,
So yeah,
rebels usually are just inspiring, and there are timing issues with that compared to compel slash handing out dauntless the way that this does. So this seems darn good. It's interesting. Like the interesting thing that I'll point out is that with the Empire, it seems like their officer and agent are very much divided into the officer is hanging out in the back mostly, and the agent is the one charging up with all the body armor and all that business. Whereas, at least as far as the art goes, and at least and for this one, the card also, I think the rebel agent would have very much liked to have had access to this doctrine, but it does not, and the rebel officer is the one with all the body armor, and so that actually may be the one that is is going to be the one that's rushing up there. But that does seem like the main scenario that this is good with is somebody who's going to be running up with the troops rather than sitting in the back.
yeah. I mean, I actually think that for the current situation that rebels are in, it's actually a good thing that this is officer and not agent. Um, because
They have more competition in
this does
the
not take
operative
up your
slot.
operative slot
Yeah,
for this
yeah,
effect. And I think that basically every rebel list on the planet would like an access to this effect. Whether you take it or not, I think is maybe a different question. But
sure.
um, having Dauntless on your Mandos or whatever seems good.
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
so
like you think about when a sleeper cell does get suppressed and how just terribly sad it is when it's
yeah,
range 3 away from the opponent and it's suppressed.
you lose your aim
And
token, you lose your
yeah, like
like
it's yeah, if you're range 3 away and you're suppressed, you're just like, I guess I'll just hide.
you know.
Uh, and they get really sad. And yeah, now they wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. So yay. So all right, we'll talk about the other officer only upgrades. That is proven tactician, and so this is sort of like the rebel version of the in Empire. It is Academy trained. So this one proven tactician. So this is the one that increases the unit's courage by 1, so you get the courage 3 bubble. While within one, allied core units gain reinforcements, and then this unit gains quick thinking, action quick thinking, and exemplar. Uh, so from like, let's just say this right off the bat. R.I.P. Padme again.
Yo, I love how that they've decided that Padme Amidala in the old edition of Legion as a commander was worth 65 points. Whatever, it's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's fine here. How are you?
Yeah.
And then I actually think the reinforcements text here is really crazy good.
It's really good.
For any of you droid aficionados that have played with the reinforcements super tack card, I am sure you guys have understood the value of this keyword.
It's super, super good.
You can get up to 6 units with reinforcements.
You could theoretically do 12 if you're doing if you deploy very well and then you're doing the crazy person 6 and 6 vets and Mark IIs.
Oh,
But
sure, yeah.
in a realist, it would like the most common scenario is probably going to be that you're like, let's say you're running 3 or 4 fleets and that you can just like be getting an extra speed 1 move out of all of them.
Yeah, I think
But even vets, like a speed 1 move is an entire movement activation for them.
for sure, right?
So you're doubling their speed on round 1.
This upgrade, I think, could potentially breathe a lot of life into Rebel Core. I think we haven't seen people bringing in like Rebel Trooper DLTs. I think that this maybe allows you to like move onto the board, take a DLT shot, and then slide your guy behind a building. Right?
Yep.
Seems fine.
Like you mentioned the competition in the operative slot, but weirdly enough, the Rebels, I think that they have 5 options total in the commander slot, and a couple of those, like especially you're thinking about your Leia and your Lando, are already in a support-ish place, and this is cheaper than either of those while still giving out some pretty significant bonuses. Like I think that there's a large number of Rebel lists that are going to be playing around with a proven tactician officer. Ironically, it is ironic, of course, that the proven tactician does not have tactical, but this is more just me talking about words, which is not why we're here.
I mean, I do want to just like stress that this, in theory, could be 50 free moves over the course of a game. Not 50, sorry. 30 free moves, right?
Reinforcement is only round 1.
Is it only round 1?
Yeah.
I thought it was only round 1 because that's when they played that card.
No, reinforcement is a keyword because swoops have it also.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, yeah. So
I just like
that,
the only
that would
time
be
I
nuts
ever see
if you're doing it every round.
is like on that card, and I'm like, oh, all right, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's only round 1. Never mind. Ignore me. That's literally the only time I've seen.
All good. That's why there's 2 people on the podcast.
It is.
All right. So let's talk about the ones that agents can take. This first one, Unseen Saboteur, either one can take. This is the only one that is shared. During Saboteur, another allied non-commander, non-operative trooper unit can be chosen, and then that chosen unit gains prepared position. On top of that, this unit gains low profile and prepared position. So this one's really interesting because it gives that prepared position to just about whoever you want. And that's like, I think that we hadn't even talked about this before the cast, but I think that because this happens during setup, it would mean that you could not give dug in
correct
to this unit.
100%.
So
well, you could give dug in to the Unseen Saboteur unit, but you could not give it to the unit that you are selecting with it.
Yeah. And we'll talk about in a second why maybe that won't happen so much. But so you're not going to be doing the shenanigans of having like a dug in Ion Rebel Trooper, but you are going to be able to forward deploy a sleeper cell or a Wookiee or a Mando, and without
or Ewoks.
You would be able to forward deploy them in a safe place without needing to rely on a bus to be able to drop them off and then hide them afterwards, which is like the most common current way to do that forward deployment. This could also be used on Tauntaun, which is a thing that you could do.
A lot harder to hide, but yes.
Yeah. But like as obviously more releases come out, the options become more and more varied. So this is a really cool one. This is one where it's going to be much less for all comers than the other 2 are, but it's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, I actually think this one is low key really good.
Okay.
Particularly if you're playing like regular Mandos or whatever, I think that just being able to have Mandos like behind a forward deployed building is pretty huge.
You're right, because it's speed 3 and jump 2.
Yeah, I mean, if the building's far enough forward in your deployment zone, and it's like they could threaten basically anything on the table that turn.
And you wouldn't have to come up with a way to get them their dodge token either, because they would get it from PP.
And you probably have strike team leader on this guy too.
Yeah,
so,
fair.
they might
Which
have
means
they
that
might
you
have a
could
dodge and
give them a name token also,
right? So
Yeah.
like, I think this is also the cheapest doctrine. I don't know if that's like a huge deal, but this effect's really good.
Yeah.
If you can utilize it. I don't think you're just like taking this to like put it on a core unit.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
that does not seem worth it. Like, I think you're mostly talking about special forces, and then
but like,
yeah, maybe a tauntaun.
well, I mean, like, you could like prepared positions, Wookiees behind a building,
Yeah.
and then do some other stuff with them. I don't know, combine it, like wait until the end of the turn, double move them, Lando move them again, and like all of a sudden
For sure.
they're probably in melee with your opponent at that point, So
Boy. The options just keep becoming more and more limitless.
Yep.
So we'll finish things off by talking about the Reluctant Hero. This is 10 points, and this is the one that's agent only. When this unit makes an attack action during the form attack pool, one of its attack pools gains critical 1 for each suppression token it has, which is a weirdly specific thing. But then it also gains infiltrate, and then like the most important parts of the card are like the last 2 keywords that it gets. Is that it gets infiltrate, which is obviously very nice. It is the best deployment keyword, pretty much bar none. And then it also gains relentless. So this is what would enable your agent to be somebody who gets all up in somebody's business. And like this is the one of the doctrines that is completely selfish. And in that way, it's actually unique, because none of the Imperial doctrines are actually completely selfish.
Yeah.
Because even the platoon commander has retinue.
Yeah.
But whereas this one, it is just making your agent like sort of a badass bro or sister, I should say. And the relentless, I think that like we're about to talk about the weapons. But what do you see this? Do you see this being more useful as a melee relentless or as a shooting relentless situation?
I think probably a shooting one, because the gun is really expensive.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's notable that the Rebel agent with Reluctant Hero is only 60 points. I'm looking at you, Jin Urso. And already has infiltrate and relentless. Once you tack a weapon on, still sub 70. I wanna shout out Nick from the Legion lads. You're right, just too expensive. And I think this is case in point. You can build a unnamed character that does the same thing for much cheaper and has a better attack, which we'll get to.
Yeah. And also does have independent dodge 1 and nimble. Obviously, it's not doing the independent move, but
that's whatever.
Unlike Jin, if he starts the turn stuck in melee, he'll still get the dodge.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I think that there's definitely potential with relentless shooting, and I think
Definitely
that we should.
Not with like the stat. Like you gotta actually take a gun. Like the black 2 white. Like maybe you'll use it on a turn that you couldn't melee something.
No, yeah, right. Totally agree. You need to be taking a gun. Now, which gun are you going to take is a more interesting question.
It is.
But yeah, let's talk about that. We'll skip the combat armor because that is functionally the same as the Imperial one.
It is.
And then they have 3 weapons. Why don't you tell us about those, Mike?
Yeah, let's start with the spicy one first. It is the repeating blaster. It is 25 points.
25 points.
I could see this coming down, I think. Potentially. I don't know. We'll see, because I do think that this is the most spammable of the weapons, in that you could take 4 rebel
Oh
officers
yeah, you could take 4 of these.
and agents with
That
this
might be
weapon.
why they were worried about it being too cheap.
Yes, I think that that's very possible. It does
Yeah.
reduce your unit's maximum speed by 1. The unit gains precise 2, so when you're spending aim tokens, you're rerolling 4 dice as opposed to 2. It is a 1-3 gun with critical 1, impact 1, and long shot. It has 1 red, 3 white, and 2 black dice. So this is effectively a 6-die ranged attack that lowers your speed by 1. And this is like, what's the guy's name in Rogue One?
Baze Malbus.
Baze Malbus. This is Baze Malbus, right?
Yeah.
This is that gun, basically. This
Right.
is the,
yeah.
the cool Z6 looking thing. It is up to a range 4 weapon if you get a name token, which, all of these units have training slots. Getting them an aim is not that hard. Frontline commander.
Frontline commander is tactical. Yeah.
If you've got relentless, you can like take an aim, move, and shoot. Like there's a lot of ways to get aim tokens. So getting to range 4 is not that unreasonable. So I'm not sure how good this gun is. It is very interesting, but it does make your character 33% more expensive.
Yeah, it does indeed. And I think that like the frontline commander is probably, I mean, it's either that or the reluctant hero. So like that's either the tactical one, Indomitable Spur, or the relentless one. And so like there's arguments for each one of those. I think that the frontline commander might be a better argument generally, but so in that situation, if you start with having the officer as 55, and then frontline commander will get you to 63, and then as soon as you add this, even without adding any other upgrades, you're at 88 points.
Yeah.
And
this is definitely the premium option out of
the
everything we're
option,
talking
sure.
about today. Like anybody that takes this gun is like the most expensive thing you possibly could be doing.
Yeah, but like a way to think about it is that it's not that far off from like a range 4. Like if you're shooting a range 4, it's not far off from being a saber tank shot.
No, I'm not sure I agree with that assessment. A saber tank shot is like
I'm saying
dice.
from a pure dice standpoint, that you would need 2 aims to like actually be better than, or to actually be equal to a saber tank shot, because the precise 2 would be the thing that would extra help you out there.
You're just assuming the main cannon.
Yeah, I'm assuming just the main cannon, but like that's typically what's available at range 4. Although you have the
you're taking the beam turret.
Things have changed. You're right.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
in any case, it's but like it's sort of like it's like a mini vehicle. It's like a mini tank shot.
It is.
And so you're paying 88 instead of tank price for it. Obviously, you have a much more vulnerable unit, and there's all sorts of other things that limit that too. But at range 4, like
if you're trying,
it's not terrible. Like you think about okay, so like if you compare this to a Death Trooper DLT shot that I think you would have to pay 20 more points for that.
Yeah.
Like it's a little worse than that, but it's not a ton worse.
No, it's not. And like I think if you compare this to like if you're trying to do the like Rebel Trooper DLT thing,
right?
I think this is probably just better.
Yeah,
because for like an extra 20
4.
points, right?
Yeah. And it doesn't degrade, which is
and it
also super important for these
It
things.
doesn't degrade. It has potentially more health than that unit does.
Yeah.
It is probably it's slower because of the speed reduction. I don't know. I do think that like there's a world where you take 4 repeating blasters on 4 of these guys and
I
like
don't want to live in that world,
uh,
honestly.
sure. I think that that's fair, but I
Keep
think
it at 25.
I do think that I'm not surprised that they played it safe.
Yeah, I think that was wise.
I could see this coming down though, potentially.
Yeah, maybe to 20.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, it's an interesting one. All right, what do we got for the other weapons?
Yeah, so we've got the heavy blaster pistol, which is 8 points. It gives you Arsenal 2, and it is range 1 to 2, lethal 1, red, white. But what that really means is that your range pool at range 2 is actually 1 red, 1 black, one red, 1 black, 3 white, because you're able to fire your other pistol with this pistol. And you've got lethal, so it's probably Pierce 1. So that attack is like actually like pretty similar to the repeating blaster attack. It's just a range 2. Um, your aim tokens are less good, obviously,
Yeah,
but this is a third of the cost. So I actually think that this is probably a better option for the relentless dude. Because 5 dice with relentless with
I think
Pierce
that's very fair.
is like pretty reasonable, particularly for a unit that costs 68 points. Again, looking at you, Jin, or so. um so so I don't know. Seems reasonable. The last option here is the Vibro Axe, which is 8 points. And this gives you charge. It has impact 1, lethal 1. It is melee only and is 1 red and 3 black dice.
Probably
Basically a
don't give
mini.
this to the relentless guy.
Yeah. I mean, the relentless guy gets infiltrate, so I actually think that this is probably the best place for it still.
Okay.
I do think the probably wants the blaster pistol, but I do think the Vibro Axe is probably still at its best on the reluctant hero guy. Um,
Well, but I was actually thinking about potentially frontline commander, because then you're double move charging with tactical 1. You're also spurring, so you can double. I mean, you can double speed 3 charge with that.
Potentially, yeah, which is not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you can
I guess
really get in
I
there.
hadn't really considered the spur angle there, so yeah, that could probably be okay.
Yeah, I mean, and so
it's
it's
it's like Luke's lightsaber, but less good
yeah, we're
for half the cost.
It's basically like, I mean, it's stronger than Wicket, actually.
Yeah.
Like if it's on the tactical guy,
Yeah.
and Wicket can go in there and cause some trouble. and so when you think about, if you have a Vibroaxe frontline commander, then that is 71. That's That seems pretty reasonable for having just like a speed 3 rush in there, like slash boy. Like that could be a thing. And then potentially because the other stuff that frontline commander gets is that he can be passing off orders to other units, and then like definitely in a world where Wookiees are maybe a little bit more palatable from a point standpoint, or they get some kind of an upgrade that helps them out, the idea of a frontline commander with an axe running up there with a bunch of Wookiees that are not only going to have Indomitable, but they're going to have Dauntless in the rare occasion that they are actually
Sure.
successfully suppressed.
Yeah.
That could be a thing. Like they would like, nobody would be able to argue with them charging in there, basically.
For sure. I think all of these weapons you can find justification on taking on basically all of these doctrines.
Yeah,
Which I think
fair.
is not the case of the Imperial ones. I think the Imperial ones are much more specialized. These ones feel like I could take any. These are good enough that I feel like you could make a case for these on any of these situations.
Yeah, the Imperial ones have the problem of having 2 melee weapons, and one of them feels significantly better at 3 more points. So That's the tough part for them.
Yeah.
And then Mike, let's close things out for card talk with the command cards for the rebels.
Yeah. We're gonna start with the one that you should never take, and we're gonna end with the one that you should probably always take. So we're gonna start with Diversionary Tactics, which is a 3-pip. It is the Rebel Officer only one.
Okay.
It's 3 trooper units. When a unit is issued in order with this card, it gains 1 dodge token. And if this card ended there, it would be fine. But it also gives that unit 1 observation token.
Tokens are good there, right, Mike?
That's what I hear, but not when you're giving your opponent free rerolls.
Oh, wait. It gives an observation token to the unit that is given the order.
Yes, it is a diversion. So you're trying to get your opponent to shoot your things with observation tokens.
What?
Yeah. It's like a really terrible reckless diversion where if your opponent doesn't actually want to shoot the thing that you are trying to use as a diversion, they just don't. I don't know.
Wait, okay, hang on though.
Yep, go ahead.
Sleeper Cell.
What about Sleeper Cell?
So
go ahead.
I figured I would just say words and then sound profound.
Okay.
But obviously that part didn't work. No, but what I'm saying is that, so yes, you're giving your opponent a reroll. That being said, is that if you start shooting at a unit, then you're usually motivated to keep shooting at that unit rather than spreading the love. Just in order to pile on suppression and potentially finish off, et cetera, et cetera. So in that situation, it is decently likely that only one of those observation tokens is going to get spent, potentially 2, not usually all 3, but obviously it could happen. But what it does for Sleeper Cell is that, it gives them the dodge pre-activation, which...
There are a lot of cards that give Sleeper Cell the dodge pre-activation.
But there's none that I know of aside from Return of the Jedi sometimes I forget like which one actually hands out dodges.
My ally is the
my ally does.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
but
yeah.
and that can only get 2 of them because it also gets Luke, right? But either way, I don't think there's a ton that would, if you're running 3 Sleeper Cell, that it would give dodges to all 3. I don't think it's amazing. I think that if you have the right mix of nimble, and if you don't have like a 3-pip that does more interesting things, like the thing I can say is that this is almost certainly better than the generic Rebel 3-pip, whatever the hell it's called. I always forget the name.
Covering Fire?
Covering Fire.
Probably only because it doesn't have a restriction, but I almost think that I don't know. I don't think this card is very good.
I mean, it's the thing is, it does feel weird to give your opponent a bonus, but again, on the right unit,
in a Rebel list, like you're gonna have 2 operatives that are named, probably, right?
Yeah.
Or you're gonna have 2 characters that are named. One of their 3-pips is gonna be better than this card.
Yeah,
almost certainly.
It's hard to think of the named characters that have 3-pips that are like, I could see this over Whistling Birds, right?
No, I would take Whistling Birds over
okay, never mind. I think that there, this may come up in interesting ways with like list building conversations in the future. But it definitely is. It's the less interesting and the less universally useful of the other of the 2 commands. So tell us about the other one.
Yeah, Battlefield Reconnaissance, 2-pip. It is Rebel Agent only. Operative, you issue an order an operative and 1 other unit. This round, when creating your pass pool, add a number of additional advantage tokens equal to the current round number. So if you play this on turn 1, you get 1 pass token. If you play it on turn 5, you get 5 pass tokens, regardless of if you have more activations than your opponent or if they have more activations than you. It doesn't check that. It just adds additional pass tokens into the pool. So what that means is that if you're playing like a silly, terrible people whose last name starts with Bear,
We almost got through a podcast that mentioned
I know, and you're playing like 14 activation double land speeders, and it's turn 2, and you play this card, you are gonna get 16 activations. That even if your opponent's only got 10. Yeah, this card I think has the potential to be really busted. It's okay as a turn 1 play. It essentially is on turn 1. This is like standing orders that hands out 2 orders instead of 1. On turn 2, which if you are not in a situation, if you're in a situation on turn 2 where you don't want to go first,
right.
This card is really good.
It can be really wicked on the games that are still sort of standoffy at the start of round 2.
This card is going to allow you to go last, like unimpeded, like 3 times on turn 2. Like you're gonna get like for sure. If you out activate your opponent and you play this card on turn 2, you're gonna go last 3 times, even if you won priority. If you lost priority, you're gonna go last 4 times on turn 2. This card has the potential to be really, really good.
Is this in a way like when they're different, but one could say that because Rebels don't get the super cool gear stuff that Empire got, is that this is sort of their version of the command and control array?
Yes, I think 100% that's how I feel about it. I think this has the potential to be more powerful than that in the right scenarios.
I'll say that if you're in a situation where you've already started fighting and you haven't used this yet, then this card has like very little utility at that point.
Yes.
Whereas command and control array is helpful in the middle of the fight, which can make it more decisive.
For sure. This is the card that ends the game before the fight starts. Command control array is the card that ends the game once it started, right? And that's a little hyperbolic. I think that both of these are. I think Battlefield Reconnaissance and Command and Control Array are probably the 2 strongest things that have been spoiled today. They're the 2 things that I think, from a competitive angle, people should be angling for. I do think the one thing that is maybe going to hold Battlefield Reconnaissance back a little bit is that it is Rebel agent only, which means that you do have to give up a named operative in the Rebel faction to take this card, which is not an insignificant cost. You've got to give up an Opluke or a Sabine or an Ahsoka or a Mando to take this card.
My gut reaction, and maybe I'll end up being proven wrong, but my gut reaction is that if it was a list that was playing Jyn in there as a cheapy operative, that like this is a pretty damn good argument to just swap her out for an agent. To get more utility out of it.
I don't want to continue hating on Jyn too much.
I wasn't trying to do that
because I think the Legion lads might get angry with us, but I don't know why you would ever take Jyn ever again with all of these options.
Well, we'll have to wait for a Jyn defender to come on the podcast. I'm more Jyn. I'm Jyn neutral in the current state, but in the future state, yes, like with the Rebel agent, I think that the argument gets really hard, and that the only thing you would have on your favor at that point would be that her 3-pip can enable like your Mandos to be pseudo invincible for 1 round. But in terms of everything else, like the Rebel agent just seems like they've got more going on for a similar price. But anyway, like I agree that the command and control array and this command card are like, if you had to come up with what is a single argument for figuring out a way to add a customizable to your army, then those are the things. The Rebel one is more limited because it's operative only, whereas the command and control array can go on either one of those boys. Yep. But obviously there's plenty of other arguments also because of all the other things that we talked about. But if you had to distill everything down to like the potentially the biggest reason to consider them in list building. I do think that it is those two cards. And so I think that sort of takes us into like what's your overall impressions like of this? And we've already talked about like the buffing standpoint, what they do for their various factions, but like how do you feel about this just generally, Mike? Like,
I'm gonna
is
I'm
this what you
gonna
were hoping for?
um okay. Uh I think there are less options here than I had hoped for. I think is how I feel about it generally. I think particularly on the Empire side, it feels like they're missing like a rifle or something. Um, you know, uh not like a huge deal, but I definitely feel like it's kind of you pick a doctor and you pick a weapon and you're kind of done as far as the customizable stuff goes. Which is fine. I think that this is something that they can probably iterate on. So I think, uh, with that being said, I think that these are hella pushed. I think that a lot of competitive lists probably going to run at least two. I suspect they are these are like very effective units in the 60 to 75 point range that have like pretty heavy impacts on the game. Like any list that I think is like running more than 3 core units in Rebel or Imperials is just like hot swapping a core unit for one of these guys.
If you were playing a core
Uh,
with the heavy, then that seems like yes,
yeah.
an easy argument.
And,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, not like a ton of people are doing that, but like,
right.
um, I actually think like with how Empire seems to overall be kind of struggling still, I wouldn't be surprised to see lists with 3 and or more of these with how um efficient and effective these guys seem to be on their face. Um and just like be like, I'm running Vader and an officer and 2 agents. Or Vader, officer, agent Callus, or or whatever.
Right.
And my expectation is Rebels are already like super character heavy lists, but I think Imperialists are gonna start looking a lot more like Rebel lists, it in that vein. Um, I sort of expect to see basically everything but defend in depth. I think taken at a pretty high rate. Um, and I think and I am expecting basically every Imperial list to run command and control uplink moving forward. I think the rebel one is less so. So is this what I hoped for? Um, I think that these are a little bit more pushed than I hoped they would be. I'm not necessarily sure I think time will tell if that's a bad thing or not.
Yeah.
Um, I My first blush is like, I don't know why I would ever take a Leia or a Veers or a Krennic ever again. I think looking at these guys, um, I could be wrong about that, but that's definitely my. I've seen these for 3 hours. Where am I at in my headspace?
I think Veers hurts absolutely the most out of any unique sort of like support commander that's out there because Leia and Krennic still have like specific cases where they're particularly useful. Even though, like the easiest way to say that is, Leia obviously will still go into Ewoks, and then Krennic,
Sure.
if you need compel, and then also if you're going to be investing a lot in Death Troopers, then the Krennic argument does become stronger. But outside of those contexts, you're right. And then with Veers, like pretty much the only context in which you were seeing him was being the second commander in Blizzard Force, and you'd say goodbye to that, my man.
Yeah, I mean, like all of those characters, like if you were to give them a like their main like thing that they bring to your army, it's that it's not spotter, it's not take cover, it's not compel. They're cheap, right? Like they're a
They're
cheap,
cheap and they have exemplar.
yeah,
It's usually not even their commands,
right.
which like for all of them, that their commands actually used to have more effect on the game state than they do now.
For sure. And like, I think um all of these, with maybe the exception of the rebel officer, have bring like one command card that is like decent or useful, which is kind of what Krennic, Leia, and Veers are already bringing to the table, right?
Yeah.
So I think these are going to be everywhere. I think that that's a good thing for the game. Uh, I think the meta is about to
Meta's about to
get
change a
shaken
lot.
up real good,
Yeah.
particularly once we get the other half of the customizables in here. What I will say is that um, I was expecting these to be more like, you get exemplar, period. That's a doctrine. you know,
Right.
and these effects are much more out there and pushed, frankly. I think there's a world where some of these doctrines go up 10 to 20 points, I think, is possible. Like the prepared positions one could be really, really, really good. The one that gives your entire army dauntless, also very, very good.
Yep.
The reinforcements one, again, excellent. I think there's a lot of text on a lot of these cards, and they do a lot of crazy things. I think what I'm trying to say is that, like, if the Jedi is anywhere close to as push as these, like, things are about to get crazy. You know,
Yeah. Like it's true that given who we are, we're seeing this and we're thinking like, what is this going to mean for the Jedi when we finally see those? And then it does create some interesting questions about the super tech. Also, I think, but in the grand scheme, even just from a battle force perspective, like the Empire, Empire is maybe going to take the biggest leap out of anybody.
Tempest
Uh,
Force and Remnant are about to get really good.
Tempest Force and Remnant, and just as a reminder, Tempest Force just won with zero trooper commanders. Just won a very big French GT with a lot of very skilled players.
Yeah.
And Remnant has been like hanging out like as sort of a maybe like a high B low A tier list that like can be very good in the right hands, but it was forced to take Gideon as of right now, and that was fairly limiting aside from the semi occasional trick that you can pull with Dark Troopers to like grab a secondary. But now you can run as long as you have one commander, you can do up to two and have any mix of these doctrines in both Tempest and in Remnant. And as a reminder, in both Tempest and Remnant, you can take command and control uplink.
Yeah.
Um, and I will also add that from the Rebel point of view, Braintree can't take these. Sorry, there were no generic officers present at Endor, which is totally fine. Braintree is plenty good right now without these
Yeah.
guys gumming up the works.
Certainly doesn't need it.
Yeah, they don't need it. But Echo Base, this was something that I just noticed because I was just scrolling through the Battle Force document. Echo Base can include 1 to 4 commander and operative units. 1 unit must be a commander. They could take in Echo Base the full quad
They could.
of customs.
You know,
Is that going to be better than taking Han? Not all the time. There are some times when
I mean,
taking that is going to be better than Han.
if you
Probably.
take 4 of them with the repeater and set them up behind a bunch of FD turrets, like all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably not good, but it is a thing you can do.
But like Han and 2 or 3 of these, like I could see that being like a solid commander backbone.
Sure.
As of right now, of course, the other problem that list has is that they have a bunch of sluggish veterans and overcosted tauntauns / maybe slightly overcosted T-47s that are not the most meta friendly additions to that battle force. But given the fact that we're sort of expecting that at least those last 2 things, the Tons and the T-47s, are probably going to be better through a combination of points reductions and upgrades by the end of the calendar year, like Echo Base could easily be back in the zone and
I
has they've already become more competitive now just because of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think Battlefield Reconnaissance could go a long way into making those units better as it
That's fair.
stands. Like,
Pass tokens make Tauntauns a lot better.
yeah, right. Like at turn
Yeah.
2, you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna go
you just
last
go
with
ahead
4
and come towards the
tauntauns.
POIs. I'm gonna wait.
Order control is a problem.
Yes. Yeah. You're gonna
But
need
you
some
can
HQs,
you can
sadly.
you can get orders on 3 of the 4 tauntauns that turn if you really really want to.
That's fair.
So, you know, I don't know. Definitely bring some life into the lesser played battle forces. I think Remnant's going to be crazy good.
Yeah.
We'll see, I guess.
So yeah, like there's gonna be an interesting. It's technically only going to be 1 month where
It's like a month and a
it's
half,
only
right?
the Civil War customs that being out there.
Yeah.
It's going to be 1 month of a really wild meta where Republic, I think, is going to be in trouble for at least 1 month.
I mean, we'll see. 1 month, I
Yeah.
think, is like really not long enough for the majority
Exactly.
of the player base.
It's
to
nothing
like,
worth writing home about, but
to figure out the broken
it's just
stuff.
right.
Right.
I wouldn't try to figure it out. That's why I'm probably in October just going to play Empire, and then I'll like keep my powder dry for Republic list building until we actually see the Jedi and see what they're going to bring.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is you're going to have a month of these customs, and like people are going to like start looking at the meta list, and they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to play that, and then everything's going to change because we're going to get the other customs and the points update basically at the same time.
Yeah. And also the Clone Wars factions will each get a brand new unit at the same time.
Yeah.
On top of the custom. So
we have entered Wild West.
Yeah.
We have entered
it's gonna be
Wild West.
That's gonna be like a really big full reset, like probably the biggest one since 2.6 started.
I'm gonna go farther than that.
Oh wow, okay.
I think
Michael.
that this is a bigger reset than 2.6.
That did actually change the game.
It sort of
changed
did.
all of the battle cards.
It kind of did. But I actually think that this fundamentally changes the game in a much more dramatic way. Like we really transitioned to like we're playing new objectives, but with the same lists, and like at least for the first couple months, this is like people are gonna start putting things that you've never seen on the table before in like really radical ways. So I also think that we could see activation counts go +1 or +2 with how cheap these guys are. I don't want to like crazy emphasize that because I think it'll be interesting to see how that actually shakes out. But I do think that these guys are all Callus Sunfac level pushed, right?
Yeah.
So, which look, I think that's not a terrible thing. I wish all characters were kind of in that boat. I think, but these are good.
Yeah. How low are we going to get the take rate on Cad Bane and Empire for that month? Like, can we get it below 1%?
Yeah. I mean, is it not below 1% already?
It probably is already there. I'm just going to like push it down even further. But
we are approaching the limit is 0.
Right. It's sort of like we're getting to the point where the calculator is like, I just can't do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very exciting stuff. And I am sure that this is going to generate plenty of like in the coming weeks, there'll be more specific like list talk. Especially with Remnant and Tempest, I think will be the most interesting ones to look at. Blizzard 2, maybe a little Echo Base, but thank you for listening through us read the cards at you. I hope it was helpful and thought provoking. But I think that we should let people go and make this at least slightly shorter than our episodes usually are.
Nice. I'm not going to list an episode number here because I actually don't know where this is going to land in our our swath of videos. because I think the episode number on the one we recorded last night is now going to be wrong. So why don't we just say that this is Notorious Scoundrels Special Edition.
Special edition.
Special edition emergency podcast.
Emergency podcast, yeah.
I'm Mike.
I'm Evan.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.